and Alumni Relations here at Shenandoah University. I hope that you find that this Life Skills Symposium is being beneficial. At the end of our session today, we're going to be giving away three $25 gift cards. Andy's worked out 3 trivia questions for us, so we'll ask those at the end of the session. We hope you can stay for the entire session and be a part of the prize giveaway. We're grateful to our title sponsor, the Virginia Army National Guard, for their support in making the entire symposium a reality. In addition, Zoom sessions this week are being sponsored by ChemPack. Thank you, ChemPack, and all of our sponsors for helping to make this symposium possible through your financial support. In addition to our event, many of our sponsors are providing session content, and we're very grateful for that. Today, our session is on the topic of health, exercise, and stress management, and it's being presented by one of our very own, Andy Morocco. Andy is the busiest coach at Shenandoah University with 6 teams under his tutelage. He's in the midst of his 15th season at the helm of the cross country and track program. Morocco has brought the Hornets to an unprecedented success in his time as head coach. His women's cross country program was regionally ranked in every poll from 2009 to 2011, as well as in 2018 and 19. And he earned 5 USA South Conference Coach of the Year awards, 3 women and 2 men during this time span, with his 2010 women's cross country team winning the league championship. As a USATF leveler, I got stumped there. 2 certified track and field coach in both endurance and sprints, hurdles, relays, with a bachelor's degree in exercise science and a master's in health and physiology. Morocco's education and experience is the perfect combination for a progressive atmosphere, which ensures continued success throughout the athlete's career here at Shenandoah. So I'm going to go ahead and unshare the screen, turn the mic over for Andy's Zoom today. We thank you for being with us, Andy.
Thanks, Tina. I don't think I've ever had that bio read out loud before. I didn't write that. For those of you who don't know me, I am not putting myself on a pedestal. That was written by our sports information director. So I can assure you I don't have as big of a head as what that sounds like. But I have been around the block with fitness and nutrition and exercise. Growing up, I've been doing sports since I was 4 years old. I started gymnastics when I was 4. I wrestled from 1st grade to 12th grade. I played baseball from 5 years old to 16 years old. And here at the university, as Tina just said, I've been the track and field and cross country coach for 15 years here. 1 year prior to this at the College of New Jersey, and 2 years prior to that at my alma mater, Salisbury University. So it's not just running that my background is in. I feel like I've been able to dabble with a lot of different sports and bring a pretty well-rounded approach to just general fitness and wellness and being healthy. So I don't want this to be a lecture for you guys. I'm trying not to, tell you guys how to live your lives or what you should do, because there's a million different ways to go about being healthy and living a healthy, well-balanced lifestyle. I guess I'll open it up if there's any questions. Is there a topic you guys would like to talk about that I could steer us toward?
If no one's going to jump in, I got a ton of questions.
Tina, fire away.
Well, and I told you that I wanted this to be a conversational session because I think of all the things that we're going to talk about. Oh, look, we did get a comment on stress management, and that's a good one. But I do think of all the topics that we're going to talk about in life skills. I think this one is one of the more important ones because when you make that transition from being a student to being an adult, you have a chance to kind of set new habits. And that is what I think the key to a healthy lifestyle is. And
Sure.
that's probably my first question is how do you set healthy habits, how do you initiate that and like make those a part of your routine? Like what
Sure.
do you personally do?
So, being a coach, it's a very, very busy lifestyle. Right before all of our participants got on, Tina, you and I were talking about uh, my team being on the road this weekend. So here I am in my office on normal business working hours, but then on Saturdays, we're on the road for competition. Sundays, we still have practice. So, um, I am I guess in a fortunate position because I love this sport and I get to do it 24/7. But the unfortunate situation where it's not 9 to 5, I can't just put it down, go home, and come back to it tomorrow morning. So it really forces me to find those windows of where to fit in my run, making sure that I'm not being lazy in my diet and just stopping at McDonald's on my way to the office. It almost makes me more engaged with my own personal health, with the busy lifestyle I have, because I don't want to fall down that rabbit hole of putting my general health on the back burner. So I mean, we all have, no matter who we are, what country we live in, whether we're in Alaska or in the Bahamas, we get 24 hours in a day. And a typical work day is 7 to 10 hours, and a general good night of sleep is 6 to 8 hours. So you add that math up, you still have about 8 hours of that day to look out for yourself, look out for your general health. It might be an hour here, an hour there. But a lot of times I hear, even with my own athletes, I'll ask them, did you stretch this afternoon? And they said, no, I didn't have enough time. There's always enough time. The key is finding it, making your health, your wellness a priority to you, and not letting someone else's priorities get in the way of your own health and wellness. Even today, just not to brag again, but just as an example, my team had practice at 6 o'clock this morning. Then I had the class I teach at 8 o'clock. I had individual meetings, goal setting with my team today, plus the this session right now with you guys. And I needed to sit down last week and say, I need to make sure that I get my workout in. So from 11 o'clock to 12:30 today, I had set aside, go to the gym, get my run in, go lift, make sure you bring a healthy lunch with you today, knowing that I'm still going to be on campus till 6 o'clock tonight with recruiting and whatnot. So it's not that we don't have enough time, it's that we have to be creative and look out for ourselves first. Because you look at math, science, biology, those of you who are students right now, it really doesn't matter if you are the foremost expert in physics in the planet. If you're not healthy and your chest cavity is not strong enough to hold that heart, and you die at 60, it doesn't matter how smart you are. You're going to die at 60. So we have to look out for ourselves and keep our diet, our nutrition, our wellness first and foremost for ourselves. Like I said, we need to keep ourselves as the number one priority before looking out for someone else's priority that you're charged to take care of.
So, one of our participants asked about stress management. What kind of advice can you give on how to manage that? I think, especially when they get out in the work field, maybe even this just the stress of finding a job, and
Yeah, right.
creating all these new routines. What kind of advice can you give about managing stress?
Sure. Stress management. I know it's very, very easy to get stressed, but it's also very, very easy to deal with stress. Certainly, physical activity is the easiest way. We get this pent up energy. Stress is like a rocking chair. It gives us something to do, but it doesn't get us anywhere. So, just going out for a walk, go out for a jog, now, this wasn't the case 15, 20 years ago, but you could go on YouTube now and just type in yoga, and there's probably 25 incredible yoga instructors that have series of free videos, anywhere ranging from 10 minutes to an hour. Um, going, I know I like to just shut all the blinds, turn all the lights off, and throw a yoga video up on the TV, and be in a dark, silent place, and go through, a very relaxing, meditating yoga. There are some yoga videos out there that are very intense. That they're gonna stretch you very well. They're gonna make you sweat. It's an incredible workout. You're gonna be sore the next day. And then there's other where, I'll be honest, in the middle of the yoga, it's so peaceful and meditating that I've just fallen asleep. So that stress management is absolutely critical to piecing day to day to day together, especially, Tina, like you said, when you're looking for a job and you got graduation coming up and you don't quite have that job lined up. You still need to maintain your health. You still need to make sure, that you're looking out for your own peace of mind. And yoga is a great way to do that. Going out for a run. I know, a lot of times we think of running as being a punishment, or just, some people just hate running. But going out for a walk, going to the gym and just getting on an elliptical or a spin bike, anything to get that pent up energy that stress tends to cause. Any way to get that energy out is a great way to keep that stress management down. Um, oh, go ahead.
I was going to ask you, because you were talking about, I know for me a pitfall is meals. I'm a grab and go kind of girl, so I fall into the fast food, you
Sure.
know, trap. Do you meal prep? How do you keep yourself on track with your meals?
So I don't necessarily meal prep like we see on a lot of Instagram posts and whatnot, where I'm making 7 meals ahead of time. I do sit down at the beginning of the week and look at what my schedule is, and plan, what I'm going to be eating that week. Like last night, we had planned, for some grilled scallops, and mix that in with some salad. The salad was just one of those pre-made, pre-bagged salads you get, in the fruits and vegetables section of the grocery store. And the scallops are almost always on sale at Martin's. A very low fat, high protein, very healthy way to take a pretty basic salad and
Unless you wrap them in bacon.
I won't lie, I have done that before as well. Um, and it's easy to get creative with some cheap options. A lot of times, if you go, late Sunday afternoon at the end of a weekend at Martin's, they'll have like their shrimp on sale to get rid of it before a new batch comes in for that week. Um, or even if you're grab and go, there are healthier options out there with, I mean, Chipotle has a lot of, non-processed, fruits and vegetables. All of their meats are raised, free range, right across the street. Tropical smoothie. Their wraps, and salads are incredibly healthy and delicious. And even if you go to McDonald's, if you go to Burger King, there are the cheaper options. Or even just going across the street to Sheets, there are the cheaper options of getting a grain roll instead of a white roll, or getting grilled chicken instead of fried chicken. So even in our dining hall, I'll talk to my athletes a lot, and they'll say, "Well, it's the dining hall. There's never anything good." There's a ton of good options in the dining hall. You just have to look for it. You have to want to have the healthier option. I know it's easy to go into the dining hall and go right over the pizza bar. I'm guilty of that too. Or go to McDonald's and the 2-for-1 double cheeseburgers or whatever their current deal is. It's easy, it's cheap, but it's also, you go down that rabbit hole too many times, and it starts adding up over, the path of your life. So there's nothing wrong with splurging on yourself every now and then. I love bacon wrapped scallops. Um, but you want to make sure that you're thinking ahead of time. If, this coming Friday, I'm going to make a nice dinner, and maybe it will have bacon wrapped scallops, or, maybe I'm going to have a T-bone steak, or whatever that case is. You want to make sure that as you're looking at your weekly, I don't want to say diet, but what you're consuming over the course of the week, you want to keep it balanced. Too much of anything is a bad thing. I mean, even with running, too much running is going to wear the body down and break you. So even the good stuff you can have too much of. So, keep it balanced, keep yourself healthy, look out for yourself.
I noticed your watch. I just got the fitness tracking on that. Do
Yeah,
you utilize that?
I do. As as a runner, and as a coach of this team, I'm a data junkie. I love stats. I love numbers. I can tell you every single split, every single athlete in my 15 years here has run. But for myself, keeping track of not only using a smartwatch like an Apple Watch or a Fitbit, but linking that to something, whether it's the Nike running app or Strava or Map My Run, having that data linked to something where you can come back to it and look at it. Actually, you know what? I have my Strava open in one of these tabs. I can pull that up. Let me go to mine here. So that way, you can see what your progress is over time. I'll do a quick screen share with you guys. So just tracking it on your watch is a good start, because you're able to see how far you ran or how many calories you burned. But being able to come back to it, often in our smartwatches, it's a bit cumbersome to go back a week ago or go back a month ago and see, a workout you did. But when you link it to something like Strava, like the Nike Plus running app, and the nice thing with Strava is you can see here, you can put your bike stuff in, your running stuff, your swimming stuff. You can put all that in, and then over the course of time, you can see all of your data. I don't know what was happening here. I got quite lazy back in October for some reason.
The truth comes out.
Yeah. No, actually, in September, I actually rolled my ankle pretty bad. I was on crutches for like 3 weeks, so that's what was happening there. But you can track your stuff. You can see, the time that you've put in. The elevation gain, especially here in Winchester, that's a given. When I was in college at Salisbury, that would have been a complete flat line. I don't think there's a single hill on the Eastern Shore. But you can track all that, and for me, it keeps me motivated, because I can go, day by day or month by month, and see that there's no, zeros, there's no missed time, with the exception of here. Another good thing, sitting here behind me on my desk, is my actual running journal. In addition to what's on Strava, I keep an actual paper and pen book, which kind of sounds old school in the technology we have now, but almost like a diary. With Strava or with Nike, with our fitness trackers, you see the data, but you can't really get your own thoughts and feelings in there. But in my running log, I can put my gym sessions in there and how I felt that day, and knowing what I ate last night, and did I think that affected how I felt today. I mean, if you have a high fat, poor content diet last night, it's definitely going to affect how you feel today. I know if I go across the street to glory days and I have a cheeseburger and fries and 2 or 3 beers, that next day, I know I'm going to get my workouts in because I'm going to hold myself accountable. But holy cow, is that a struggle bus to get through?
Mm.
Um, Whereas, you have a good healthy dinner, you drank a lot of water the day before, and then the next day you go out, for whatever that is, a bike ride or a long, 40-minute walk. I tend to feel a million times better when my diet the last 48 hours has been much more on the healthier side.
I have been seeing, I told you earlier, I've been seeing a nutritional coach, and she said that the most successful people are those that journal what they eat and their exercise. So I've been really trying with Noom, and she recommended my Fitness Pal, but I gave Noom a whirl because I got a free trial to try it. But it
Yeah,
does make you much more mindful of what you're putting in your mouth, and you know that
sure.
if you're gonna put something bad in your mouth and you got to log it, you got to
Yeah,
look at that sort of stain on your record. But anyway,
right.
we had a couple of new people join, and we're opening it up to questions. If anybody else has questions for Andy on health and wellness, feel free to ask or put those in the chat. Um, I'll give it a second in case anybody wants to ask you anything. I don't want to dominate the conversation. Um,
I do have a question.
oh, good. Go
Yeah,
right
go
ahead.
for it.
So I watched What the Health, and it got me thinking, like, I really need to do better with what I was eating, because I was eating out a lot also. So I recently am like on the verge of like turning vegan and vegetarian. I noticed like some of the vegan stuff that I bought actually had dairy products in it. So I know dairy can also have, it's like with the same receptor as they said, like heroin. So it can, that's why we're addicted to dairy, but it's also like all the chemicals in it is really bad for you. So I've been trying to be more mindful of what, like how to get started, and I've been using the internet, but I also want to make sure I'm getting like the vital minerals and nutrients that I'm getting, not getting too much or not getting enough. So that's what I'm concerned about, is as this diet change, should I take a multivitamin, or would I be getting too much of something?
Sure. So I'm not a certified nutritionist. I do teach, one of the classes here is just a general wellness and fitness nutrition class, just for kind of what we're talking about here. Um, if you're going to make a radical change like that in your diet, the internet certainly has some good resources, and utilize that since it's right there at our fingertips and easy. But along with the good stuff out there, often there's more bad stuff than there is good stuff. Um, I would definitely recommend um, keeping your general physician in on the loop with that. A doctor, whether it's a general family doctor or your OBGYN, somebody that oversees your health, keep them in the loop on that. So, they can make sure that your hormone levels, your iron levels, none of that is dropping in a negative way. Um, with vegetarianism, there's a few different types. Ovo vegetarians are vegetarian diets that still have eggs in them. Um, Lacto vegetarians are vegetarians that still include milk-based products like milk, cheese, yogurt. So there's a couple different types of vegetarian diets that you can follow. Vegan diets, on the other hand, even more important to have a doctor in the loop, because a vegan diet is purely zero animal-based products at all. And like you mentioned, there are some vegan things that you could buy at the store that aren't truly vegan. They still have animal products in there. Our bodies need complete proteins. Without going into a lecture, a complete protein is all 20 amino acids present at any given point. Without all 20 amino acids making a complete protein, our cells cannot regenerate. Our muscles, when tearing them down in workouts at the gym or running or swimming, anytime you work out, you're tearing the muscle down. Anytime you do yoga and stretch, you're putting these fine micro tears in the muscle. And the way we get stronger, we run faster, we jump higher, is when we tear those muscles down and they regenerate stronger, bigger, faster. Without a complete protein being there, that can't happen. And there are ways as vegan in a vegan diet to get the complete proteins. But it's a very, very hard game, and you definitely want to have your physician in on that. It can be healthy. It can be very healthy when done properly. I'll be completely transparent. My younger brother is on a pure vegan diet. He's been a vegan for about 10 years now. He actually he lives in the Philadelphia region, and they have this big vegan cooking contest every year in Philadelphia that he's won a few times in vegan macaroni and cheese that he makes, which I've eaten before, and it's amazing. You wouldn't even be able to tell that it's a pure vegan based mac and cheese, but you got to be healthy with it, because it's a very slippery slope. If you're not getting those complete proteins in, your body cannot regenerate and be healthy. And it's not even just the muscle part, but your estrogen, your all of your hormones that you need to function properly, your endocrine system with keeping you healthy and staving off the common cold, the flu, all of those antibodies that your body needs to stay illness free, comes from protein generation. So it's okay to go down that vegetarian diet or that vegan diet, but I would highly, highly recommend you don't put yourself in a negative situation by keeping a certified nutritionist involved or your general family doctor involved.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Good advice. Any other questions for Andy? I think that does bring one up for another one for me. How do you feel about supplements? Like, do you take any supplements or protein supplements or additional vitamins?
Yeah, that's a good question. And actually, coming back to Raven, you asked about like a multivitamin as well. So the multivitamin, I would put that aside from a supplement. What multivitamins do, if you go to the store, and even if you get, to be perfectly honest, I take a multivitamin every day, and it's the Flintstone Kids vitamin. Multivitamins don't do anything magical. What they do is top off the tank from, if you're not getting enough vitamin A today from, whatever you ate, or you didn't get enough vitamin C today based on your diet. All multivitamins do is keep you at 100%. So it is good to take one every day. I recommend everyone, all my athletes, just take one. Even if you think you have the healthiest diet, it will not hurt you to take a multivitamin every day. It just makes sure that, like I said, the tank is topped off. Now, as far as supplements like a protein shake, stuff like that, it can be good, especially if you're trying to avoid, as I already mentioned, you need those complete proteins in your diet, and a protein shake has those complete proteins. However, it's not vegan. It will be it can be considered vegetarian, because your typical protein shake is a whey protein, which is basically they extract the protein out of milk. So it's not vegan. It is a milk-based product. and that's where that whey protein comes from. But that's a great way. If I know some people on my team, some of the athletes I've coached just don't like meat. It's not that they're against animal products and they're not obsessed with being a vegetarian. They just don't like the texture of it, or they don't like the taste of it. And something like a protein shake is a great way to get the protein in your diet without actually going and chomping down a big red steak. So those are good as well. Something like a B complex. B vitamins are essential to our diet in energy production. So a lot of times I'll hear people, talk about, I'm tired today. Well, did you get enough sleep? Yeah, I'm sleeping 7 hours a night. And I'll recommend getting on a B complex, and within a week they're just like rejuvenated. So stuff like a B complex just helps keep our bodies on top of the energy production. And most of the vitamins that we consume on a daily basis are water soluble, so we can never overconsume them. So if you go to the store and you get a whole bottle of B vitamin, you could pop one every hour. It would be a waste of money, and it probably will upset your stomach a little bit, but you can't overconsume a B vitamin. Your body is just going to excrete it out through your urine. So something like that, it can't be bad to have in your diet. And if it's, topping you off and making you feel a little bit better, then that's a good thing. Now, if we go down the avenue of, I know in the early 2000s, like ginkgo was a big one. And there was also ephedrine. Everybody was up on ephedrine because they said it was like, taking a super dose of caffeine, and now it's actually banned. Those that aren't really regulated, I steer away from them. I try, especially with my athletes, let's stay away from that. There's just not enough research to show whether it's good or bad. More often, you're probably just wasting your money on something. But protein shakes, multivitamins, B complex vitamins, all of those are good for you, and a good thing to work into your everyday diet.
That brings up one more question. Separating, and I fall into this pitfall all the time. You hear like, try Atkins, try keto, drink Slim Fast. Da, 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 da. There's all different kinds. How do you separate fad from what you should be doing?
Right. And that's exactly it. It's a fad diet. They come and go. But time and time again, for 40 years, the research shows just a healthy, balanced diet is what's going to be best. Diet and exercise. And I hate using the word diet, because as soon as you say diet, people automatically think of, there's a difference between your diet, which is what you eat on a regular basis, versus being on a diet, which is calorie restriction or a fad like Atkins, or keto. You kind of want to avoid those because they come in ebbs and flows. You're confusing the body. Our body's number one, no matter what we're eating, our body is genetically coded to use carbohydrates as a primary fuel. So your breads, your pastas, cereal, oatmeal, anything, grain based, our body wants to use that as its primary fuel. So if you go something on like an Atkins diet, where it's high protein, high fat, and low carbohydrate, you're going to start shedding that weight, but your body is always going to be craving those carbohydrates. So unless you're committed to that for the remainder of your life, as soon as you put those carbohydrates back into the diet, that weight's going to come right back. So it's better to keep that even balance. Ideally, you should be 50% carbs, 30% fat, 20% protein. And if you can keep that structure on a daily basis, for 5, 10, 20 years, you're going to see a consistent, healthy diet. Whereas if you go on these fad diets, you're going to see the best example is Oprah Winfrey. There's always a new fad diet that she's pushing, but if you look at her career over the last 40 years, her weight has always also dramatically fluctuated between being overweight, and then there's that period of time where she was on one particular diet and running marathons, and it's always going to be this constant roller coaster with your weight, which is going to tie into your body image and your mental self-worth. And that's even worse, to be on that roller coaster and constantly having that those questions rattle around in your own mind over what you perceive of yourself. So I tend to keep people away from those fad diets. Every now and then, one of my athletes will say, "Hey, what do you think about this?" Let's just stay on a healthy, structured, balanced diet. If you can stay on 50% carbs, 30% fat, 20% protein, you're going to get everything you need. You're going to get the energy you need on a daily basis from the carbs. You're going to get the fat you need, and fat is essential to our bodies. We need a certain amount of fat for shock absorption around the joints, insulation from both the heat and the cold weather, our metabolism to keep our bodies healthy and moving in a proper manner. We do need fat in our diet. We can't completely cut it out. And as I already talked about the complete proteins, we need that protein in there for cell regeneration, hormone regeneration. So the fad diets can work, but you have to stay on them. And typically those fad diets are hard to stay on. And it's easier to just go on a structured balance of that 50-30-20.
Good advice.
As well as water. Water is key. Stay hydrated. That's actually, I can touch on that with our thirst response. When you guys get thirsty, the thirst response is letting you know, that's your brain telling you you're dehydrated. When the thirst response kicks in, you are already 3% dehydrated. The thirst response is actually the weakest auto response that our body has. If you touch, let's say the stove and it's hot, your brain immediately pulls your hand away from that stove. If you step on a nail or a broken glass, or if you have kids and I'm sure they have Legos laying around, you step on something barefoot, immediately you jump up on one foot and pull your foot away from whatever you stepped on. The thirst response doesn't kick in until you're already 3% dehydrated. And 3% doesn't sound like that much, but for an 18-minute 5K runner, 3% is 45 seconds. If you can bench press 200 pounds, if that's your max bench press, 3% is 6 pounds. So it doesn't sound like a lot, but the performance aspect of what your body can do, 3% is actually a lot. So you want to make sure that you're drinking water throughout the day before you get thirsty. If your brain is telling you that you're thirsty and you need to drink water, then you have not been getting in enough that day. A good tip I like to do, I have a 14-ounce cup that sits by my sink, and every morning I wake up, the first thing I do before I wash my face, before I brush my teeth, I just crush that cup of water, and then I do the same right before bed. So I make sure as soon as I wake up, because as you sleep, you're breathing, you're perspiring. Even, there is liquid leaving your body for those 6 to 8 hours that you're asleep. So as soon as you wake up, you want to make sure that you're putting water in your body, as well as before you go to bed. You're about to go 6 to 8 hours without hydrating, without eating. That's why in the morning, the first meal is called breakfast, because you're breaking that fast of not eating for 6 to 8 hours. right before bed, you want to make sure you're putting 10 to 14 ounces of water in. So as you're sleeping throughout the day, or yeah, sleeping throughout the day, sleeping throughout the night, you're putting enough liquid in so your body can do the regeneration it needs. Water is involved in every single process of the human body. Our bodies are 50 to 65% water. So we want to make sure that's a constant, steady inflow throughout the day.
Again, good advice. Well, any more questions for Andy?
I have a question about the water.
Yeah,
So is it better to have like lukewarm water or ice water or hot water?
actually, a really good question. So I know, especially in the summertime, those cold liquids taste best. Even ice water. On a hot day, you just want to crush something cold because your brain feels like it's cooling you down. But just like with if you've ever had an injury where you put ice on it, the point of putting ice on it is it uh, reduces swelling, it decreases any blood going to that area to keep it from swelling. When we drink cold liquids, the opposite happens. Our digestive system contracts and it can't absorb what we're eating or drinking. So what the body does is sends more blood to that area to bring some warmth. So let's say in the summertime you go out for a run, and in the middle of the run you stop and drink some ice water to cool you off. You're actually hindering yourself a little, because instead of that good, healthy, oxygenated blood going to the legs and the arms and your glutes where you need it for the run, it's going to send it to the stomach cavity to warm up that water so it can be digested and ingested better through the digestive system, through the intestines. So that's actually a really good question. Our bodies absorb room temperature liquids better than hot or excessively cold liquids. So water at room temperature is going to be absorbed better. Gatorade at room temperature is going to be absorbed better. So yeah, that's actually a good question. Lukewarm room temperature liquids are much easier ingested through our intestines than cold or hot liquids are.
Good question. Any other questions for Andy? Well, Andy, do you have anything else to add? I think we could move on to trivia.
Sure. Let's see. I had a couple notes written down on stuff to touch on. I think we touched on everything. Although we didn't touch on any of the three trivia questions I had, which are kind of good stats. So I don't know how to go about that.
Did I mess you up with all my questions?
Yeah, no. So I guess we could ask different trivia questions because these are some good stats to know. When talking about our everyday diet, every 1 pound of gain or loss in our weight fluctuation is 3,500 calories. So if we're talking, one of your goals might be, to lose 5 pounds or bulk up 5 pounds. So you have to factor 3,500 calories per pound, which is why a lot of dietitians and personal trainers don't want you dropping a lot of weight super fast, because it's actually really dangerous. Our diet, if you look at a nutrition label, is based on a 2,000 calorie diet. So 3,500 calories is almost 2 days worth of food if you're on that 2,000 calorie structure that our food labels are based on. So you want to do it in small amounts a day. If you're trying to lose weight, try and cut back maybe 100 to 200 calories a day. So that way you're only losing a pound or two a week. Any more than that, you're really starting to play a dangerous game with how fast you're dropping your weight. On the flip side, sticking with calories, if you go out for a run, the typical human burns about 100 calories per mile of a run, so or a walk. Common myth is you have to run to burn more calories, and that's not really true. Walking 1 mile or running 1 mile is going to burn the same amount of calories. It's just the amount of time you're doing it. So, if you want to go for 3 miles, it might take you an entire hour to walk 3 miles, where it might take you 30 minutes to run 3 miles, but you're still going to burn the same amount of calories whether you walk or run. And I get questions a lot. Well, what if I bike? The typical run to bike ratio is 3 to 1. So a 1 mile run would be equivalent to a 3 mile bike. And then the lower end of that, what if I go swim instead? And it's typically a quarter mile, it's 4 to 1. So a quarter mile swim is equivalent to a 1 mile bike. So, or I'm sorry, a 1 mile run. Yep. A quarter mile swim is equivalent to a 1 mile bike, and a 1 mile bike is equivalent to I said that wrong again. Forgive me. Quarter mile swim, 1 mile run. 1 mile run is equal to a 3 mile bike. So if you want to mix it up, but the base of the calories is 100 calories per 1 mile run. So you got that for you. And then the last little stat I'm going to throw out there is I already mentioned our body's preference for energy is carbohydrates. And at any given time, with directly in the muscles and in the liver, our bodies have about 2 hours of stored carbohydrate. It's in the form of glycogen. But we have 2 hours of stored carbohydrate at any given time in our system. So a lot of times I'll have a new runner come in and I'll send them out, for a 40-minute run, and they'll come back and I'll say, how did it go? And they said, oh, I hit the wall out there. I just ran out of energy. That's not true. More likely than not, they're just out of shape. We have 2 hours of stored carbohydrate in our muscles and our liver. So that's when that 2 hours of stored energy burns out. That's when our bodies switch over from a carbohydrate to a fat burn for its energy. So I'll just leave that out there as well. Any other questions? Any other topics anybody wants to touch on? I think I have time for one more question. Or Tina, we could go straight into trivia.
Okay, I have one question.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to lose weight. So this time around, when I'm at work, I'm able to eat my breakfast like a cereal or oatmeal. Then during lunch, I take mixed fruit. Then during dinner, I cut down on most of my carbs, like the rice content. I cut it down and I add more of the salad, but the salad I eat it without the dressing because I realize the dressing has a lot of fat in there.
Yeah. So with dressings, I'll touch on that for a moment. That there's an element, and you would be shocked if you start looking, turn the stuff you're eating over and look at the nutrition label, and somewhere in the ingredients, most likely you're going to see a product called high fructose corn syrup. It's in ketchup. It's in a lot of different dressings. It's in candies. Anywhere you see high fructose corn syrup, That's really, really bad. It's almost unavoidable. Unfortunately, here in the US, it's in almost everything. It's more stable than standard sugar is, and it has a longer shelf life, but our body absorbs it and stores it and doesn't break it down the way a normal sugar should be broken down. And our bodies tend to hold on to it in the form of stored fat longer than we should. Um, so with you saying you're not putting dressing on salads, not only is that a good way to reduce your calories a little bit, but more likely you're also avoiding those high fructose corn syrups, which are very, very not good for our diet. If you guys ever have a chance, go on Google and type in high fructose corn syrup, the devil's candy, and you'll find a plethora of articles talking about how bad this product has become, but how ingrained it is into our everyday diet here in the United States. But going back to everything else you're saying, carbs in the morning is a great thing. Your cereals, oatmeals, stuff like that, because at the beginning of the day, you want to get that energy in you. And then remember, I said proteins are the building blocks to the body. So if you have a high carb breakfast in the morning, that's going to fuel you throughout the day. But when do our bodies repair itself? Not during the day when we're moving around. The body repairs itself when we're asleep at night. That's the whole purpose of sleep. So having high carbs in the morning to fuel you throughout the day, and then high protein at night for your dinner, not necessarily right before bed, but at the end of the day, your last meal of the day being high protein, that makes sure that that protein is in the digestive system throughout the night while you're sleeping and the body is repairing itself, and you have those amino acids there to regenerate what your body needs to regenerate.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Tina, trivia.
Trivia. So for the people in listening in, put your answer in the chat. The first person that puts their answer in the chat is the winner. Hit it, Andy.
All right. Let's see. At one point, I believe I said how many amino acids make a complete protein. Bam. Wow, that was fast.
That was quick, Emily. I think Emily was the first one there. Look, everybody got that answer right.
Yeah.
I think it was Sydney there.
Oh, Sydney. Oh, good. Let me look. Yep.
Yep.
No, yep, it was. I'm sorry. It was Sydney. I had to look it up and refer to it. All right, Sydney, I think I have your info from yesterday. Look at that. And I apologize. I haven't sent your card out yet, but I will do it by email today. All right, number 2.
All right, let's see. I mentioned specifically 2 types of vegetarian diets, not vegan diets, 2 types of vegetarian diets. Ovo-vegetarians include what in their diet? Oh, let's see. Man, Sydney's all over this. She said ovo and lacto and then answered the egg answer. Raven also got. All right, one more. Let's see. Would be a good one that might stump you guys. Let's see. This might be easy. I said it a couple times, but let's see if you get the numbers right. A well-balanced, non-fad diet would be in which ratios of carbs, fats, and proteins?
Oh, I remember that.
Oh, Raven nailed it. 50.
Look at that, Raven. All righty. Raven, if you would private message me your email, I am going to make sure you get a $25 gift card. And Sydney, you're a big winner. You're a big winner today. You got it twice.
So,
I will
well,
appreciate those.
I appreciate you guys hanging out and asking some good questions today. If you guys ever, have a question, feel free to shoot me an email. I'll drop my email right here. My fiance can attest that I am never ever not responding to emails and texts from recruits and whatnot. So if you have a question, feel free to shoot it my way and I'll answer it best I can, or at least point you in the best direction that I think. And thanks for hanging out. And Tina, thanks for inviting me to be a part of this.
Yes, thank you so much. I'm going to remind everybody that we're going to come back on Thursday at 2:00, and our topic is going to be civic engagement and volunteerism. I hope you guys can join us Thursday at 2. And again, we want to thank our sponsors for making this event possible. We really appreciate it. See you all later.
See you guys. Have a good week.
Thank you, Andy.